I'm going to repeat some of the things that the original authors already stated, but I want to reemphasize how important it is. From one study, it's estimated that financial elder abuse in Wisconsin is $3.4 billion and involves more than 100,000 senior citizens in our state. If you look at the 50 states in America, those losses are estimated at $270 billion and includes 7.8 million cases. So this is not a small, confined issue. This is a very broad spectrum issue. The demographic group, again, going back, 70% of the wealth and income is controlled by this group 50 and older. Why? Because they've had a long time to accumulate it. Decades of savings and investments. Who commits elder abuse? If we look at a Medicaid site, Medicare site, you end up that the most common form of abuse comes from family. It can be 40% of that is from a daughter. I'm going to guess that particular daughter got the job of taking care of mom and dad. And at some point, decided to pay themselves for that task. Different issue, but then the other members of the family, when the passing takes place, are like, what happened to mom and dad's assets? Creates tremendous conflict. Recently, Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel ran an article from a different perspective. There was a elderly citizen that was hoodwinked out of $200,000, and in this case, the people coming to her were representing themselves as law enforcement, attorneys, and victim support people. They got this woman for $200,000. You also hear about the cases where equity is stolen out of homes, could be title transfers fraudulently executed. No age group is immune from fraud. No particular group is immune from the kind of digital fraud that's taking place today, high technology fraud. As we age, we might find ourselves going, boy, I'm a little short on my memory, trying to remember a person's name from 3 years ago. Well, that naturally increases over time. The ability to process complex information will change. We actually see that on a national stage as we look at presidential candidates, how age can differently affect people. 22 states use the age of 65 as the trigger age on this. There are 32 states that have passed similar laws. That age is defined between 60 and 70. We chose the 65 because it is predominantly the age chosen to be used in this bill. We've had some concerns that this is age discrimination. You can make the case. We have been told that age 65, we don't know if that's really the right age or not. I'm sorry, but at some point, you got to pick a point to work from. As a former bank president, our staff every week dealt with potential or attempts at elder fraud coming from a variety of arenas, and our frontline people spent a lot of time working with those people that were subject or vulnerable to being abused. In particular case, I had in a same 12-month period 2 bachelor farmers. Over that time period, each was taken for over $600,000. These numbers add up in a hurry. And oftentimes it's a matter that this was a private situation for them. They became uncertain. They agreed to the fraud. And in the end, after it had happened, they were too embarrassed to tell anyone it happened. But in fact, there could have been a frontline person sitting in a bank that could have said, this is out of the normal course of business or behavior for this customer, and be able to step in and try to stop the loss before it happens. And that's really the goal of the bill. In far too many cases, we were handcuffed in the financial services arena by the privacy laws. I appreciate privacy laws, but when someone reaches a vulnerable state where behavior has changed from its traditional course, I think this bill has great value. There's many people today that could be included in this group. 65 and older that are not suffering vulnerable aging issues. However, they can be captured simply because of the level of technology and complicity of what's going on today. Had many occasions where you're having someone call up a grandma and say, Junior, your grandson has been arrested and he just needs to post bail to get out. Can you send money to this number? I'm going to tell you, my mom, when she was 90 years old, had that happen. And she just told the guy to get lost because she knew her grandkids. But there are other grandmas that have been taken by the same kind of deal. This bill is going to help our senior citizens. It's going to make available tools, but it doesn't mandate the tools for the individual on their personal choices. So it will authorize a financial institution to work with their customers, establish a separate profile whereby if you're on that list of a contact list and there's something out of the ordinary, you can the bank or credit union could contact that person, talk through what's going on, and for the individual, they can choose not to give you those names. But if you do it, it's just, does this behavior sound correct to you? The illustrations that Rep. Mako gave us, those two situations could have resulted in
Representative from the 88th. Not Rep. Mako, representative from the 88th.
I've done this once before, and I've been corrected twice. This is now the third time. Let me try to avoid that.
Also, representative from the 52nd, we're within 30 seconds of the time limit on this bill if you'd like to finish your speech.
I think it was a representative of 88 took a lot of time there. Anyhow, this is a tool that can help stop losses for a vulnerable group. It is extremely needed in Wisconsin. When we look at the volume of dollars being lost and the families being affected, we need to step forward in our legislature and do something to protect these people. I ask you to join me in supporting this bill, and the vote is green. Thank you.